Hello, my name is Maya K. Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about Unexpected Season 5, Episode 3. And in the beginning of the episode, we pick back off where we left off on Episode 2 of Tiara and Dee and Tara. Tara is at the airport because she went to Maryland to go help Tiara come to Kentucky for a doctor's appointment because in the last episode, as they talked about, Tiara lost her social security card, so she cannot get a doctor in Maryland yet. And in the confessional, Tara talks about how she likes helping Tiara since she's only 18, and at 18 she didn't have her life together either. But Tiara does not like getting help because she's super independent, and her mom even states how if they go out to lunch or something when she's in town, Tiara will pay for her dinner before her mom offers to pay for hers. And Tara says she lets her pay for it, which I get that feeling, not on my card no more. So she's super independent, which it seems like she has a nice balance of that, and it seems like she would have to be anyways since she does have a child. And while Tiara, Dee, and Ella are going to go pick up Tara at the airport, Tiara starts having Braxton Hicks, which Braxton Hicks are fake contractions getting you ready for the real contractions. And Tiara says she doesn't know whether they're real or fake, and she's scared because if they get on the airport, she feels like there's a good chance that she could go into labor. She is 32 weeks, so it is possible. And she says she would not trust Tara to give birth to her baby because she would be less worried about the baby and more worried about Tiara, which I don't think anyone would exactly know what to do if they did not go to school to be a doctor. And once they pick up Tara from the airport, she gets in the car and she's excited to see Ella and giving her hugs, kisses, and all that jazz. And she ends up playing around with Ella and ends up saying that your daddy cut off his ugly mustache, which Dee had like this weird mustache thing going on with his mustache beforehand, so I guess Tara did not like it and she was happy he cut it off. And Dee in the confessional ends up saying he has anxiety when being around Tara because he doesn't know what he's gonna get out of her that day since she has mixed personalities. And Tara and Dee both hope it goes well when Tara is there this week. Next, we move on to Jenna and Aiden. They were on season 4 of Unexpected, and they have an 11-month-old son named Luca. I have no idea why they're just getting introduced in the 3rd episode. I felt like they would have been getting introduced in the 2nd or maybe even the 1st. But I guess since there's a lot of people on the cast this season, they really didn't have anywhere to fit them. And Jenna and Aiden are 18. So Jenna goes and meets up at this coffee shop, which I think it's like a drink coffee and paint type of thing coffee shop. I don't know. I'm not particularly sure, but it looks like she was painting something. And she meets up with her friend Giovanna to talk about Luca's baptism. Jenna and Aiden are Catholic, so yeah, I figured I would say that so it doesn't get confused. And she wants her friend Giovanna to be Luca's godparent, which I am not Catholic, so I'm not 100% sure what she means by godparent. But I've heard and seen a godparent in the Catholic Church is someone who like spiritually guides you. It's not really like a guardian custody thing, I don't believe, but I'm not 100% sure, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. And while they're at the coffee shop, Luca starts to get hungry and Jenna breastfeeds, and she was standing up. She didn't breastfeed him, I don't believe. I just think he wanted to be held. But going on to the confessional, Jenna says that she loves breastfeeding and she is a crunchy mom, which a crunchy mom is just somebody who's like a hippie, I guess you could say. They just like doing things the natural way, using organic products and just having everything that comes from the earth itself and not using processed stuff, which I don't really care what you do with your child, as long as your child is healthy, happy. Whether you do processed or organic, do what's best for you and your kid. And Jenna says she does everything with breast milk. She cooks with it, she puts it in Luca's baths, She just does everything you can imagine with it, which what I mean by she puts it in Luca's baths is she will run bath water and then put like a thing of breast milk in it. So it's just not a tub full of breast milk. I don't know if she could even produce that naturally. So yeah, I figured I would explain that so no one gets confused. They even show a clip of her making pancakes with her breast milk. So she quite literally does do everything with it. And she says she likes the taste of her breast milk, and she says it's even healthy for you. I've never tasted breast milk. I've never had my breast, nor am I that curious. So I'll leave that to the people who enjoy being pregnant and enjoy having breast milk in them to try that and to enjoy that. Going back to the coffee shop scene, Jenna says that she's tired because Aiden doesn't really help her and it's just annoying. Because Jenna is a stay-at-home mom and Aiden works full-time and it's also the main provider of the household. So Jenna doesn't really have a steady income. And when Aiden gets home, he's tired because he's working 7 days a week at a construction job. So he's really tired, but just because you're tired doesn't mean you're done with your day. You still have to be a parent, and Jenna still needs help when he is there. And she says that once Aiden got his job halfway through Jenna's pregnancy is when things started to change, because they showed a clip of when Jenna was in labor or like in false labor and she was in a lot of pain, and he was just really annoyed and like kind of being a jerk to her. She really wasn't saying anything. She was just in a lot of pain and he was like hitting speed bumps, I believe, and it was just making the pain worse, and she was just saying it to like make a statement, not to make him feel bad or anything. Then at the confessional, Jenna goes on to say that they're out of the honeymoon phase and that's what she thinks it is, which I don't think that's what it is. I just think the relationship has changed now that they both have big responsibilities and it's no longer about doing what they want. It's all about what is needed for this child to live a safe, happy, healthy life. And that's just what has altered the relationship, because now they have adult problems and adult situations that they have to deal with. But even with that, you don't have to be a jerk to somebody. You can still be sweet to somebody and treat them like you care about them. You don't have to be a jerk. And Jenna even says that they're just trying to get by in life. And because they are, they're not really living life how they once before, and it's not really about them anymore. Then she goes on to say that you either have a working baby daddy or a bum baby daddy. And I felt like that should have been the title of the show and not breast milk pancakes. I felt like that would have been such more iconic title. But anyways, that's not the point. Back to the coffee shop scene, her friend Giovanna asks her should she take a break from Aiden, and not necessarily break up, but just get her own place and live in a different situation where they're not together all the time. And Jenna says that she wouldn't even know how to go about that, because since Aiden primarily takes care of her and Luca, she wouldn't know how she would financially support herself. And then she doesn't want to move back in with her dad because she's going through something with her dad right now and their relationship is just kind of weird. So she wouldn't know where to exactly start with that whole situation. Then outside, her friend Giovanna does a confessional and she says that Aiden is a provider and not like an everyday type of father. And she says a working father isn't enough, and Aiden doesn't ever think he's wrong and he feels like he's always right. So that also complicates their situation, which I don't know how to feel about this, because I feel like they're kind of painting Aiden as a bad guy this season, because that's what they did last season, except with Jenna. They painted her as some brat, as some ungrateful person, but obviously that's not who Jenna is. And I'm not saying any of this isn't true. I just feel like it is edited very weirdly, and TLC is known for editing people in a bad light. So I would like to see Aiden talk about it from his point of view so I could get a full understanding. Next, we move on to Kylan and Jason. I get 10 minutes of peace before I have to watch this nonsense, which this is a little bit off track, but every time after I watch their segments, I have to take like a 30-minute break to regroup from whatever I just heard or seen. But anyways, going back to the scene, Kylan and Jason go look at a birthing center, and in the confessional, Jason says that he feels like they treat teenage dads terrible and they're going to direct all their energy to Kylan, which I'm pretty sure that's what they're supposed to do since she's the one giving birth. But anyways, back to the scene. They meet up with the midwife at the birthing place because home birth was not going to work for Kylan. And Jason just kind of answers all the questions and not Kylan. And it gives me the worst feeling because I want her to stand up for herself and say how she feels, which she doesn't do that a lot. So I would like to see that from her. And in the confessional, Jason says that everyone has family members that didn't need an epidural, and he thinks that Kylan will be fine, even though giving birth to a child is different for every woman in the universe. But he just doesn't want to believe that and just wants to have this one-minded lane type of thing. And Kylan and Jason say that they want the baby circumcised, which Kylan left that decision up to Jason, and he decided that getting the baby circumcised was the best decision. And then he goes on to say that getting him circumcised will help stop infections, which I thought he was on to a good lead. Then he goes on to say it will get him more girls in the future. Your child is not even born yet. Please give it some time. But going back to the scene, Kylan asks where would they get the baby circumcised. Would they get the baby circumcised at the birthing place, or would they have to go take the baby to the doctor or something? Then the midwife asks who is the baby's pediatrician. Then Kylan asks does she mean her pediatrician or the baby's pediatrician? And the midwife just started to laugh because she realized how unprepared these teenagers are to have a kid, because the baby needs a pediatrician. You need to find that before you go into labor and make sure the baby has a place to go at the 6 weeks checkup appointment, or it's either 6 weeks or 8 weeks. But anyways, they need to figure out all that stuff out before the baby gets here. Then the midwife takes them to the birthing room and shows them around, and Kylan says that she likes it, and Jason says that he likes it, and well, of course Kylan's gonna like it if Jason's like it, so she was gonna like it regardless. Then Kylan asks how many people they can have in the room, and because of COVID they can only have 2 other people in the room, and Kylan's happy about that because she wants to have her mom included while she gives birth, and Jason doesn't want her mom there because he feels like it should just be a thing between them two, which is whatever you make it, I guess. If that's what she wants, I think that's what they should do, but I don't think it should be primarily based on how Jason feels. Then in the confessional, Kylan still goes on to say that her parents probably won't be there because everything has to go Jason's way, which it's so sad to see because it's just like such a bad situation because everything does not have to go Jason's way. It's really not even about him and how he feels at the moment. He's not the one giving birth. He's not the one pushing a child out of him. So I feel like it should really not come down to his decision at the end of the day. It should come down to Kylan's. But with any decision that Kylan makes, it all depends on how Jason feels. Next, we move on to Emerson and Mason. They are in the Starbucks driveway, and Mason's dad calls to see when and where they can meet up, and they end up agreeing to meet halfway. And their parents have to drive them everywhere because neither of them have their driver's license. Emerson does have her permit, but it expired and she hasn't gone to get it renewed or even try to get her driver's license. She says that she's been calling the place every single day to see if she could get her permit renewed, and no one ever picks up the phone. So I don't really know what the situation is with that, and hopefully she can get that all figured out before the baby comes, or at least after the baby comes, so she can have her driver's license and drive herself around. But while they're in the car, Emerson's mom, Erica's talk about a schedule they can get once the baby gets here, since Mason lives an hour away from Emerson. And Erica says that Mason could sleep on the couch, and that's what she offers to Mason, and he accepts it. I don't know if that was the best option, but Erica does not want them in the same room together or even laying in the same bed because she doesn't want Emerson to get pregnant again, even though she's already pregnant and there's nothing you can really do about it anymore. It's just time to accept the situation. And Erica doesn't believe Emerson and Mason should have privacy because they don't live on their own. That isn't what she exactly says, but that's basically what she says, just in a bunch of other words and trying to make it not sound as bad. And she says the reason why she never put Emerson on birth control because she said it was basically like saying, I'm giving you permission to have sex, even though it's not. It's really just saying if you do have sex, you don't get a child, but not exactly sure what her exact logic about it. But going back to the car scene, she goes on to say that she forgives Mason and she wants to move on with her life. Then she goes on to say after that she believes sex is something for married couples. And Emerson says that she's a hypocrite because she got pregnant at 18 and she wasn't married. So I can agree that is hypocritical of her to say such a thing, and she hasn't even practiced it herself. And I think she's just a really religious person, and she's just not exactly saying it because religion doesn't really play out that well on TV when it comes to like certain perspectives. So I think she knows that and she's just not broadcasting it. And I do think Emerson's mom is doing it from a good place, I believe. I just think she's just doing it in the wrong way because she wants to control the situation now. And going back to what I said, she forgave Mason. What is she exactly forgiving him for, to be exact? Because I'm not particularly sure, because it's like you say that they got your daughter pregnant, but you allowed her to go over there, and your daughter was also like smoking the devil's lettuce and like sneaking out and all of that, so you obviously won't keeping a good eye on her herself. And Emerson doesn't want Mason downstairs, she wants him upstairs with her and the baby. But like I said, Erica is afraid that she's going to get pregnant again. She's also afraid it's going to give a bad impression to Emerson's little brother Liam, who is 12, which I'm not sure if it gives a bad impression, because like what impression is it exactly giving? Is it giving that it's okay to have unmarried sex, or is it giving the impression that a good parenting relationship? But I don't know, she just seems like one of those controlling people, so it's really not going to make a lot of sense at the end of the day. Then on top of that, it's not Emerson's responsibility to make a good impression on her little brother. That's Erica's responsibility. But hopefully they figure that out and it ends up in Emerson and Mason's favor. Next, we circle back around to Tiara and Dee and Tara and Layla. And the reason why I say both of them is because they share a segment this time, so just to clarify. And Tiara, Tara, and Ella are getting ready to travel to Kentucky for Tiara's doctor's appointment because she lost her social security card, and that's what she said in the previous segment and in the last episode. But while they're getting ready and packing, Ella has like this suitcase and she has put like a bunch of toys and a bunch of random stuff in it, and Tiara looks through the bag to see what she's put all in the bag, and she ironically finds her social security card, and she says that she guessed Ella was using it as like a credit card when she was playing. And Tara finds that weird because it's just, how do you all of a sudden just find your social security card in a random bag? But that's a good thing because now she can get a doctor in Maryland. I don't know if she is though, because she is kind of at the end of her pregnancy, so she may or may not. And she may also like going back to Kentucky and seeing her family. So she may or may not get a doctor's in Kentucky. But even if she's not pregnant, she probably will have to go to the doctor just for daily checkups. So she probably will need to find a doctor in Maryland sooner or later. And in the confessional, Tiara says that she's thankful for Tara coming to Maryland to help her because traveling alone with Ella by herself is a handful. And especially now that she's pregnant, it's going to be 10 times more difficult. So she's really thankful that she came to help her. And going back to the scene where they're packing and getting ready to go to Kentucky, Alex texts Tara a picture of him and her, and it was a really funny picture, Tara says, and Tiara asks like why she's laughing and smiling and giggling, and she tells Tiara Alex sent her like a old funny picture. And in the confessional, Tara says that she wished her and Alex could get their situation together because she does want to be with Alex and she does want to have the perfect small family with him, but of course he's cheating and doing whatever he wants to do, which I think that's very unrealistic for Tyra to think, because I feel like at the end of the day Alex is going to do what he wants to do no matter what, because this has been an issue going on for like 2 to 3 years, I think. So if he hasn't shown you by now that like he has no interest in being in that situation with you, I think it's time to move on and just accept for what the situation is now. But Tiara feels the complete opposite. She feels like if you really love someone and you care about that person and your child, you want to go off and cheat and be a completely different state with a different girl, which the girl's name is Hannah. I don't know if I'm gonna like show a picture of her or not, but like we know who Alex's new girlfriend is, and if you look up her name or if you just look up Alex cheating, I'm pretty sure you can find the girl if you really want to. And Tiara goes on to say that when Tyra was in college, Alex was already cheating then. And you know, in the last season when Tyra went off to college and it was 2 hours away, it was made to seem that like Alex was being the father of the year and just all these things being there for Tyra, and like Tyra was just completely unavailable for him and just was doing her own thing and living her own life. But that was never the situation. Actually, Alex was already cheating and he wasn't really home and being the parent like we had seen on TV. And I guess he was leaving Layla with his grandmother or his mom. That's the only thing that logically makes sense. So I don't really know what exactly the situation was, but it seems like everything that got portrayed on TV was actually the complete opposite in real life. And people were like attacking Tyra and saying like Alex doesn't need to step up more. He's being there 99% of the time while you're off doing your own thing. But like I said, that wasn't the situation. And I can even remember Tyra saying when like the episode had came out and people were attacking her, saying like I was coming back like every 2 or 3 days or so. So yes, I was not there all the time, but I was still being there as much as possible. Going back to Tiara's confessional, she says that she's worried that Tyra may fall for the same trap again, and she doesn't want her to go and be in the same situation just for it to end the same way. And she's afraid also that she's gonna get heartbroken and she's not want to go to school and be a mom and all those things, which I think that's a reasonable feeling for Tiara to have, because she's seen it happen in real life and we only saw it on TV. We didn't even see it on TV actually. So I think that is fair reasoning for her to feel that way. Lastly, she goes on to say that she'll just have to wait and see how the situation plays out when they go back to Kentucky. So they didn't really like specifically address that. I'm not sure if Alex is gonna be in Kentucky once they get to Kentucky and they're gonna like meet up and all of that, or if she's just talking about in general. So I'm not really sure what specifically she was talking about, but all I know is that Tara may go meet up with Alex, and maybe we'll see that in the next episode. Next, we go back around to Jenna and Aiden. Jenna's dad is having a small get-together for his birthday, and he's planning it with his wife, Kathy, who is Jenna's stepmom. Jenna and her dad have a complicated relationship. They have not had a good relationship since the tell-all, because there was conflict at the tell-all, and I believe conflict happened also before the tell-all that also carried over to the tell-all, and that's how it became a bigger issue. And it became a bigger issue because Jenna felt like she wasn't being heard and she was being gaslighted by her dad, but her dad was saying that's not what it is and don't take it as that. So I'm not completely sure what the beef is exactly, because it's like they touch on it but they don't go into deep context about it. So they kind of like halfway give their stories but don't full go on into context about it. And another reason why their relationship is complicated is because Jenna moved out. This is kind of confusing because they don't really talk about it like that. And like I said, they don't go into deep context. This seems to be a repeating theme with like Jenna and Aiden and like all of them. They don't ever go into deep context about things. They kind of touch it surface level and then kind of expect everyone else to figure it out. But back to what I was saying, Jenna moved out and Jenna's saying that her dad kicked her out. But her dad is not saying that's what not happened, because Jenna was always threatening to move out and he was like, then move out then. And he feels like if she wants to move out, she can. If she wants to stay, she can. So I guess he's trying to say how she's portraying the situation, it really was not like that. And I guess that's also what they're beefing about. Then Jenna's dad goes on and say that he misses her and she wished that she would come over more. He even says that he wishes that she would move back in. And I think their relationship is complicated because her and her mom and her dad kind of have like this weird situation. It's like they're both really petty and Jenna's just always been stuck in the middle. So she's always just been going back and forth on one side, not on the other side, which no child should ever be put in that situation, but it also is just what it is for her. And I think right now, since like her and her dad aren't really on the best terms, she's kind of with her mom, if that makes any sense. No one says that, but it seems like that's what the case is, because later on in the season, I do know that her and her dad and her mom do get in some type of conflict. And I do think Jenna's dad does love her and just wants the best for her. It's just under really weird circumstances that this relationship has to be under. Well, it doesn't have to, but it's just the circumstances it is under. And Jenna does not show up to the little get-together because Luca started having a runny nose and was being sick. Her dad and her stepmom really did want her to show up, but she didn't. And they kind of feel like she's purposely not showing up in a sense because she wants to avoid conflict, because I guess she's one of those people who doesn't like conflict, but I mean, who does like conflict? And Jenna's dad loves being around Luca and wants to get closer with them and spend more time with them, but like I said, right now the relationship is really difficult. So hopefully they can figure out a situation that works best for everyone and they can come to a happy ending. And we're back again to Tiara, Dee, and also Tyra. They're going to the airplane to get to Kentucky, and they basically talk about how difficult it is to travel with a toddler and all the things that we've talked about in the past 2 episodes, which is something I hate about Unexpected. They talk about the same things repetitively, just use different wording in each episode. But anyways, back to the scene. Tyra and Tiara's mom comes and picks them up from an airport, which their mom's name is Melissa. She came and picked them up even though she works night shifts and she's really tired, but she says she would not want anyone else to come and pick them up from the airport. She also says that her and Tiara have a really close relationship, even though they do butt heads sometimes because they're so much alike. But Tiara says no matter what they go through, she always knows that her mom is going to be there for her. And Melissa, their mom, talks about how she found out that Tiara was pregnant the second time because Tiara sent a picture in a group chat with her, Tyra, and her mom of Ella wearing a shirt saying, "I'm gonna be a big sister." And at first her mom did not see the shirt. She just thought it was a really cute picture of Ella. But then after she went and looked back and she saw what the shirt read, she was really excited. She said she's less worried this time around because she saw how good she is with Ella. But the first time around, she was really nervous for her since she was only 15 and had never taken care of a baby. And she also talks about how she found out that her daughter was pregnant and she lost her virginity at the same time because they went to the gym and she was throwing up, but she was saying she was hungry, and that was just really confusing to her. And she asked Tiara, was she pregnant? She said, no, I don't participate in stuff like that, which it was obviously a lie because she found out that she was pregnant. But then, going back to the scene, they're in the car going to either like the doctor's appointment or somebody's house, and Tiara's telling her mom that she's driving the wrong way, but her mom is like, I am driving the right way. And they get into like this big argument about it. It's not a big argument, it was kind of like a silly argument They even woke Tyra out of her sleep. It's irritated. She got woken up over a stupid argument about which way is the right way to drive. So hopefully they got where they were trying to go without too much trouble. And lastly, we move on to Kylan and Jason. Kylan's parents misses her, so they go to her parents' house to spend some time with them, and they're outside, like in their backyard, I believe, over a bonfire. Kylan's mom asks her if she excited or nervous about having a baby, and she says kind of both. But while she answers the question, she looks to Jason for an answer, which it irritates me and kind of scares me, because it's like, can you not think of an answer of your own? Like, you have your own brain, you have your own mind. So like, why does she look at Jason every time someone asks her something, or I don't know, just something, anything? I just feel like you can answer all these questions on your own. You know, they're asking you, not Jason. Then Kylan's parents asked her if she's decided on what she wants to do for her birth. And Kylan doesn't answer Jason's answer, and he says he likes that they treat him and include him in all those things, everything he's been saying for the past 3 episodes. Like I said, this repetitiveness with Unexpected and TLC. And I wish they would get us a break, and this would also help shorten the episodes if we stop getting repetitive scenes. But like I was saying, it continues to say that they include him in decisions and all of that jazz. Even though it's not about him and it's about what Kylan wants and what's best for her. But as we know, it's not really about her this time. It's about what Jason wants, even though he is not the one pushing out a child. And going to the confessional, Kylan's mom wished she could go to appointments with her and experience that. But Kylan says that it's a dad thing and not really a grandparents thing. Even though it's whatever you make and whatever you want it to be, the experience kind of depends on you and who you want to be involved. And then they talk about like the specifics and like how the birthing plan will work, and they talk about how like the bathtub is like a 2-people thing. It's a 2-person bathtub, and how he gets to really be involved. And Kylan's parents are worried the birth plan is adjusted for Jason and not for Kylan. Which the birth plan is adjusted for Jason and not Kylan, as you've seen through the past 3 episodes. And I wish she would just stand up for herself and say that she wants to give birth in a hospital, because that's obviously what she wants to do. And in the confessional, the producers ask Kylan if she wants her parents there, and she says next question, and she says she'll have to talk to Jason about it, even though it's really not his decision. But she's afraid she's gonna cause drama. Then the producers ask her parents, if specifically her mother, if she wants to be there when Kylan gives birth. And Kylan tells her mother not to answer the question, but she answers it anyways, and she says, you know, that's her child, she wants to be there. And Kylan just gets irritated because she's afraid what comes out of her parents' mouth Jason is not gonna like. Which, like, why is she so afraid of what he's gonna say and think? If he gets mad, oh well, he will live on to see the next day and move on with his life. It's just ridiculous. And I mean this in the most respectful way possible, but I really hope Kylan and Jason's relationship ends, because it is a terrible relationship, and it's so exhausting to watch Kylan be so defensive and just like watch her get walked all over and not really be heard. But that was the end of the episode. It was a pretty good episode, even though I hate watching Kylan and Jason's segments. For the most part, it was really good. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe if you want. And that's it. Bye.